Buenas noches, señores y caballeros, y bienvenidos a Saludos a España. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to an evening of music that brings you the warmth and the flamboyance of Spain. Two elements that are certainly contained in no short measure in our first offering from the BBC Concert Orchestra this evening, conducted by James Lockhart, Manuel de Falla's Ritual Fire Dance. No evening of Spanish music would really be complete without that highly evocative sound of Spain that's created by the guitar. And really, I think there can be no work written for the guitar that's more haunting and certainly more loved than the stately concerto written by Joaquin Rodrigo, properly entitled Concierto de Aranjuez, but much more popularly known as Rodrigo's Guitar Concerto. The name Aranjuez comes from the city of that name in the Tagus Valley. It was the ancient seat of the kings of Spain. And the music, which is in 3 movements, evokes all the regal splendor of the court in the 17th and 18th centuries. Well, it's certainly a showcase piece for the classical guitar. And tonight's soloist, joining the BBC Concert Orchestra for the Concierto de Aranjuez, is one of Britain's finest classical guitarists, Carlos Bonell. You know, one of the genuinely nice things about being able to work on a program like this is that you really do get to hear so much, or I get to hear so much of my favorite music, and certainly that was a favorite of mine. Some marvelous playing there by Carlos Bonell. As they say in the trade, follow that. Not easy, but we will try now with a musical interpretation of Spain as seen by a Frenchman. These days, many holiday makers coming back from Spain return with a taste for paella and sangria and probably a pair of castanets to hang on the wall. But in 1883, when the French composer Chabrier went on a holiday in Spain, he came home with a whole collection of traditional Spanish melodies, which he then coaxed and blended and arranged into a work which he modestly called a piece in F and nothing more. Well, in fact, it was a great deal more than that. The music, in fact, has so much rhythmic and emotional energy that when Chabrier once played his piece in F on a friend's piano, he broke several strings and put the instrument out of action. Well, no broken strings this evening, we hope, as the BBC Concert Orchestra, now conducted by James Lockhart, bring the first half of tonight's programme to a close with Chabrier's Rhapsody for Orchestra, España. Well, certainly that was a piece of music that needed absolutely no introduction at all. It was the March of the Toreadors, of course, from the opera Carmen, an opera which was set in Spain, but written by a Frenchman, the composer Georges Bizet. Now, that opera was first produced in Paris in 1875. The critics didn't like it. The public certainly didn't care for it at all. And even the impresario who staged it thought that it was all rather too risque and improper. Well, it wasn't really until after Bizet died that the work received the acclaim that clearly it deserved for its musical passion and originality. But Bizet himself never lost faith in his work, and he created 2 orchestral suites using music from the opera, and we're going to hear 4 of those arrangements now. From the suite number 2, which is made up of music from within the body of the 3 acts of the opera, we'll hear Danse Bohème. But first, from the suite number 1, we have the intermezzo, then Les Dragons d'Alcala, and to begin, the prelude, Aragonaise.
Bolero, ending our concert from the Royal Festival Hall, which was recorded on the 6th of September. The BBC Concert Orchestra, leader Martin Loveday, was conducted by its principal guest conductor James Lockhart, and the soloist in the Rodrigo Guitar Concerto was Carlos Bernal. Stereo sound balance was by John Bathurst, with technical assistance from London Outside Broadcasts. Presented in association with Raymond Gubby Limited, the concert was introduced by Angela Rippon and produced for Radio 2 by Barry Knight. We've a new series starting tomorrow at 4:30, designed for you to join in. It's You Can Sing the Next Song. And if you do, you'll be in good company. Singing some of the world's best songs will be Joan Baxter, Valerie Masters, Tracy Miller, Mike Redway, Danny Street and Ken Barry. They and you will be aided and abetted by the Ray Monk Sextet.
You can sing the next song, hum along a whistle. We're gonna sing a song and it's just for you. We know we're gonna fill ya with melodies familiar, and we know you'll sing along when you find that you can sing the next song.
And you can join in at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. Have you been following our series of Grand Hotel concerts? The Palm Court Orchestra have been travelling the country for their Sunday night programmes. Tomorrow they play in Broadcasting House Glasgow, and we'll also hear violinist David Smith and Moira Anderson. Tomorrow evening at 7:30. On Friday, the BBC Concert Orchestra will be making their annual visit to the very English town of Bexhill. They're taking with them Marilyn Dale, Vernon Midgley and the Cambridge Buskers, pianist Robert Docker, and their conductor for the evening, Heinz Gazer, and of course, Robin Boyle. The programme will feature Ronald Binge's Elizabethan Serenade, and from the very English composer Edward German, a selection from Merry England. Edward German's overture to Merry England. Friday night is music night, comes from Bexhill this Friday evening at 7:30. In just over half an hour after the news and sport at 10 o'clock, we welcome Martin Kellner back, and he looks forward to your company through till midnight. This is Radio 2.
Hello, this is Bill Reynolds welcoming you to String Sound, and tonight the strings of the BBC Radio Orchestra are conducted by John Fox. The usual form of a calypso is that of someone with a guitar singing a story. Our calypso has a little augmentation.